Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I'm Dave Weischadle, and as always, I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weischadle. Doug, I know it's only a month into the MLB season, but seriously, 4 no-hitters? Is that seriously becoming a prop bet that I have to look closely at before every game now?
That would be an incredible prop bet. I don't know if anyone has that prop bet, but somebody out there, if you're listening in your sports book, please put one up there. It's actually an incredible stat. I think it's only the second time in Major League history that's happened.
I mean, that to start the season. I mean, I guess that's what you're talking about?
In the first month.
Yeah, wow. That's just, I guess we go through cycles in baseball, the home runs, and I guess MLB was trying to curb that because they changed the ball. Now it's the year of the pitcher, apparently.
Now, the changed ball, does that affect the pitching?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
They got to be related in some way, shape, or form. It's a brand new ball being used.
You say it's the second time in MLB history that I don't remember it. Maybe it was during my lifetime, but I have never seen pitching performances like I have this year.
No, it's an incredible feat that's happening, and I expected home runs to be up, but they're not.
No, who knows?
So maybe that's the effect of the new ball, but I noticed scoring is up a lot, though. A lot of high-scoring baseball games already.
Yeah.
Even with all these no-hitters happening.
But if you like pitching, you like Major League Baseball this year. We're going to have a great show coming up for you. We've got a By the Number segment, and we also have a book report. And for my interview, I'm going to replay something from Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow. It's called The Logic of Sports Betting. It's a great book. We're doing the replay because that book will be a free gift for those registering for BetFest, which is happening on May 15th. You can check it out at betfestlive.com.
Yeah, and just so people know when you how you get this book, after you register while you're attending the conference, there are going to be links popping up that will allow you to download a free copy of the book. Also, during relevant sessions on the day of the conference, if there are actual sports betting number segments, statistics segments, that sort of stuff, you'll see a link in the lower portion of your screen for a free copy of the book. So there's multiple ways to get this book at BetFest, and this is a great gift.
It is.
These are two of the smartest guys in sports betting, I think.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's called The Logic of Sports Betting. It's been a busy week in sports, so let's take a trip down the Turnpike. Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
Caesars Entertainment just had their earnings call, and during the call, CEO Tom Reed just kind of dropped a bomb on some people here, on the industry, I should say, overall, because no one was expecting this statement from the CEO of Caesars, especially after spending an entire year acquiring William Hill sports betting operations. They are now dropping the name, or they plan to drop the name.
Which is very surprising.
For U.S. operations.
William Hill is, for me, the big name in sports betting.
It's always been.
Historically, it's been the big name in sports betting.
They were at the forefront when they were opening betting shops and everything back in the 60s and the 50s. And, when they were like the leader. And now, Caesars, during their conference call, they said that they're going to be dropping the William Hill brand from their retail books. They're all going to be Caesar Sports, and also the app. The app is going to be It's right now still William Hill app. There's also a Caesar Sportsbook app too as well.
Well, there's 2 of them. I have William Hill app on my phone right now.
Well, Caesar still on their online casino or their online site. There's a Caesar Sportsbook. So what they're going to be doing is integrating the William Hill platform into the Caesar Sports app.
Huh. Okay.
They're hoping to have all this done by football.
I have the William Hill app, so I have to keep an eye on to see if anything will be changing there. Is that what you're saying?
They're going to be switching over at some point.
All right.
They hope to do it by football season.
Okay.
Whether at the start or at least at the beginning of the season, I don't know, prior to first game. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. They say they're going to have it ready for football season. And it's kind of weird after they spent all this time acquiring the asset of William Hill. They did a $3.7 billion purchase, started in last September, went through a shareholders lawsuit, and they finally got permission only a couple of weeks ago to complete the acquisition.
Okay.
And here they are dropping the name.
Well, they got the list of customers, so that's important. That's very valuable.
Well, what they also want to do, and I think this is the main reason why they want to do this, not only for the list of customers from William Hill, but also they want to integrate their Caesars royalty cards into the William Hill database as well.
Okay.
So
right.
I mean, it's a not just a tech grab that they got for the William Hill app, but I think also it allows them to expand their loyalty database.
Great. Yeah. Well, like I said, it's the customer list.
Well, again, we'll see what happens, and they plan to sell all the non-U.S. assets of William Hill.
All right.
At some point in the next 12 months. So somebody overseas or even Canada or whatever, they're going to be able to get the William Hill non-U.S. Tech app, whatever you want to call it, and someone's going to do pretty well there.
Okay.
Especially for non-U.S. stuff.
All right.
But again, it was such an odd thing to throw out in the earnings call that no one really was expecting this, and it just tells everybody, that you watch for another sports betting app, especially after Caesars got named one of the sports betting partners of the NFL. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be able to capitalize on that. They're going to be able to capitalize on that deal with ESPN they have, where the William Hill was providing the odds.
Sure.
So kind of interesting little thing. You're going to start seeing Caesars a lot more everywhere, especially on TV.
Exit 2.
NASCAR has become the first commercial partner of Rocket League.
Okay.
Now, everyone that is in esports knows what Rocket League is, but if you're not familiar with what Rocket League is, it's a soccer game played by rocket cars.
Okay. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Cars hitting the ball.
Cars playing soccer.
Oh, okay.
Well, also they have guns on the cars and everything.
Okay.
and also they're not strictly tied to the field of play. They can go multiple dimensions.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
All right.
It's actually a really fun, fast-paced game to watch. I've seen a couple tournaments online, and also I think even during one of those during the pandemic, a couple networks streamed one or two tournaments for it. Very interesting game to watch. Very fun.
Okay. All right.
So NASCAR has made this deal to reach the audience, to reach a younger audience.
Let me ask you, I don't know the details of the partnership, but will actual NASCAR cars, depictions of actual NASCAR cars be in the game now?
No.
Oh. I thought that would be logical.
No, what's going to happen is, and actually it's going on now, a pack. A team pack is being made available for purchase in the game.
All right.
You can purchase a NASCAR team's logo, look, design,
and
patch it onto your car.
All right. Well, sort of what I was talking about. I would think
they're not NASCARs going around kicking the football.
I don't mean in real life, but will depictions?
No, they're Rocket
but
League
you
cars.
will get their logos. You can put your logos. You can represent your team.
You'll see NASCAR branding everywhere.
Okay. All right.
It's just one of those things where NASCAR wants the younger audience.
Sure.
Rocket League, this is their first commercial partnership. And listen to the list of some of the participants here. And I found one interesting. Roush Fenway Racing, that's one of the big ones. Stewart Haas, Team Penske. This is the one I found interesting. Oh, well, Richard Petty and Joe Gibbs Racing as well.
Oh, okay.
Richard Childress Racing. They have a sports betting deal.
Really? Okay.
So I wonder if this is a step into esports betting for NASCAR, too.
That might be a big leap, but
it's got to happen at some point.
Something to think about.
I just realized I saw RCR there, and I remember BetMGM has a deal with them.
Huh. Okay.
So it'll be fun to see exactly where this goes. But
I'm not sure if that's going there, but that's an interesting.
It's the first thing I thought of. It's the first thing I thought of when I saw Richard Childress.
An interesting footnote there.
But you're going to see NASCAR decals, banners, and Goodyear tires on the cars.
All
So
right.
everything associated with these NASCAR teams and NASCAR itself, you're going to see on the Rocket League cars bearing these kits.
That's great promotion on both sides.
Well, they want to do it. They want to get the younger audience.
Sure.
And also, NASCAR fans probably don't know anything about Rocket League, but since it involves cars, maybe that's a really good fit.
Well, now NASCAR fans know about Rocket League. See, that's how this
And
partnership
Rocket League
works.
fans know even more. More about NASCAR.
Yeah, now they're getting to know the teams.
Well, one other little note, and I thought this was very interesting. NASCAR teams will not receive any money on this deal.
Really? Okay. Who gets the money? NASCAR itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
No direct revenue, but you got to figure popularity, more apparel deals.
Sure.
They'll sell more things. More people will be following them. But again, watch that Richard Childress Racing deal. I thought that was the first thing I thought of when I saw them mentioned in this.
Exit 3.
Got a little bit of a trademark roundup this
All
week.
right.
New Balance has been in a trademark lawsuit since 2014 in China.
Boy, that's a long one, huh?
Well, it went through a whole bunch of different courts and appeals.
All right.
First they lost, then they won, then they lost, then they won. What happened was in 2014, the New Balance N, the where it has that little design on it, looks really kind of high-tech kind of thing. They filed that in 2014 in China for trademark protection. Their original mark, which was just a simple N, looked like a postage stamp almost, was filed in 1983 in China to protect their sneakers.
And did they get that one?
They got both.
Okay, they got both.
What happened was in 2012, and a competitor, and I have the name in my notes. I can't pronounce it. I'm not going to even try it.
I'm assuming it's a Chinese brand?
It's a Chinese brand of apparel.
Okay.
And they have a similar N, or what New Balance felt was a similar N to their N.
Now, did they get
the
that
Chinese trademark office granted them that trademark?
So the Chinese trademark office felt it was not similar.
Right, but there's always some bias anyway versus American brands versus Chinese brands. That's always been there.
Okay.
Especially in China. But New Balance filed an invalidation action. And suffice it to say, it went back and forth. It went to the Supreme Court of China to make this determination and this just happened in March 2020. This was just resolved.
You mean March
2020? 2020.
That was last year.
Yeah, it was just announced that they got this ruling.
So it was just announced now in 2021 that they got the ruling in March of 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how bad some of the Chinese trademark reporting is.
Okay.
They're just releasing some of these things. But they won the appeal, so they are now protected.
New Balance
is protected. They won the appeal. Sony, and this is for esports people, and actually video game people. Sony just registered a trademark for a game called Sunset Overdrive.
Okay. Is it a driving?
No.
Okay. Why? I don't even know why I guess at these things.
When this game first came out way back in the 80s, it actually had a great premise. The entire population of the world was turned into mutant zombies by an energy drink.
All right.
And you went around shooting,
Okay. It's a zombie shoot 'em up kind of video game.
It was one of the first zombie shoot 'em ups. How about that?
Oh, okay. All right.
But they just Sony just filed a trademark. I'm talking within the last 2 months here on the name.
Okay.
So everyone's wondering, since Sunset Overdrive was the first exclusive Xbox game ever made.
All right.
It only appeared on Xbox. They were wondering if that means there's going to be a new version, or is there going to be some kind of esports thing attached to it?
Okay. Since they registered the trademark Sunset Overdrive, but they've had it for so long.
They've had the game
they're
for
thinking
God
that
knows how long.
Something is going to happen with regard to Sunset Overdrive. Everyone's trying to predict what they have in store for Sunset Overdrive. Is that what's going on?
Add into the mix that the original creator of Sunset Overdrive and director of the game rejoined Sony.
Oh, okay.
Recently.
All right.
So there's two things.
A sequel kind of thing?
Connect the dots kind of thing. Sony says they have no plans to do that.
Okay.
But you never know. And last but not least, for the Trademark Roundup, Vanessa Bryant launched the Mambacita clothing line. We talked about the trademarks in a previous show. She just launched it May 1st. Everyone was wondering what was going to happen since she canceled the deal with Nike. She walked away.
Okay.
So she launched the Mambasita clothing line with the Mambasita trademark on it.
Okay.
All the proceeds are going to go to the Kobe Bryant Foundation.
Great.
So that's launched, and she did it around the 15th birthday of her daughter.
Oh, that was nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Exit 4.
I'll tell you, it seems like we can't do a show without talking blockchain or NFTs or some kind of cryptocurrency.
I don't know the story, but I think some casino might be allowing cryptocurrency somewhere.
Resorts World Las Vegas, the one
Yeah.
being built right now.
Yeah, I heard something like that. They're considering it, or they're going to have it.
They made a contract with a cryptocurrency firm.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not they're actually going to be able to do it, but they're going to be, according to that deal, they're going to have cryptocurrency being used on the casino floor.
Okay.
I think certain kinds.
Yeah. But that's not even the story you're talking about, right?
No, we just went right off on a tangent.
Wow. Okay.
The UFC has now announced plans to launch its own blockchain-based fan tokens.
Okay.
Now, they're going to launch up to 20 million of these, and it's going to be $UFC. That's the symbol for the token.
All right.
So if you're looking for it, it's going to be distributed by Chili's. Chiliz, not the restaurant chain.
Okay.
The non-fungible token company.
Okay.
So they are going to be selling these tokens, and
Now, what's the deal? You're gonna, if you wanted to buy one of these tokens, you hold on to it, hoping it goes up in value, right?
yeah,
Okay.
and also they unlock certain things. Since they're non-fungible tokens, they're programs too.
Okay.
These will be sold through the broker site Socios, SOCIOS.com. Chili's is making them with the UFC, but Socios is going to be selling them. That's where you go to buy these things.
All right.
You have a variety of perks being offered. They're going to talk about what fans are going to be able to choose production elements for upcoming fights. Now, where that will lead, I don't know, in terms of what production elements they're talking about.
I'm trying to figure out what they're talking about.
Yeah, they just said production elements, also exclusive merchandise that can be unlocked by these tokens. There's a whole range of things they can offer their fans. It's just more fan engagement. You know how sports betting and all these fantasy sports create fan engagement? These tokens are being used to drive even more.
When we were kids, we had baseball and football cards. I guess now we're going to have non-fungible tokens.
NFTs.
The next generation.
NFTs. Well, they're not the first MMA group to do it.
Okay.
The Professional Fighters League, the guys out of Jersey.
Okay, yeah.
They just launched this season, April 23rd, and they're all at Ocean Resort Casino. They have their own non-fungible token as well.
Okay, all right.
It's $PFL, and they started selling these in April, and the minute they went on sale, they sold 300,000 of them at $2 each.
Wow, okay. I'm going to check these out. For $2 each, maybe that is a kind of a good investment kind of thing.
The token holders were able to decide which fight was the people's main event on their opening night bout.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that's the type of things they can use with some of these non-fungible tokens.
Boy, talk about fan engagement, huh?
Yeah. And if you want, they're trading now $PFL at $3.71.
So if you bought it at $2, you're already making money.
And if you want to check prices on all these things, go to fantokencenter.com. They have all these different prices, and it's almost like a NASDAQ for non-fungible token stuff. MMA is getting into it. I know MLB's talking about it. NFL's talking about it. Everyone's talking about NFTs now, and it's the way. I guess it's another hot trend.
And today's Trip Down the Turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And as always, you can get in touch with Turnpike Sports by calling or texting us at 609-512-5910. That's 609-512-5910. At Turnpike Sports is the show's handle on Facebook and Twitter. At Turnpike Sports Radio is our handle on Instagram. And as always, our email address is info@turnpikesportsradio.com. And don't forget, you can listen to the show via Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, radio.com mobile app, as well as Stitcher and YouTube. You can also watch us on your smart TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. Head on over to turnpikesports.net. You'll be able to watch our video channel there.
Well, we got a big show coming up for you. We're going to have a By the Numbers segment, and we're also going to have a Turnpike Sports book report. And for my interview, I'm replaying an interview from Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow. They're the authors of The Logic of Sports Betting, and that'll be the free gift for those registering for BetFest on May 15th. You can check it out at betfestlive.com. Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore.
Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here.
Use offer code
SPICE404.
They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more.
Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-297-9788. 800-297-9788.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. You know, sports betting is becoming a huge business in this country with more and more people trying their hand at it every day. Hell, listeners can stick around for the commercial break and they'll probably hear a couple commercials for sports books. That's why I'm excited to talk to our next guests. They have written, in my opinion, one of the best books on sports betting out there today. It's called The Logic of Sports Betting, and we have both authors on today, Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow. Ed and Matthew, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. I'm Ed.
I'm Matt.
Okay. Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, I talked to you off air, and what a great book it is. I mean, what made you write this book about sports betting? I know both of you have a background in poker. What is so interesting about sports betting that inspired you to write The Logic of Sports Betting?
So Matt and I have, Matt's been involved in sports for a long time, well over a decade. And I got involved. I kind of transitioned my efforts from poker to sports in about 2015. I first got into it with Daily Fantasy, and then I met Matt, or reconnected with Matt shortly thereafter, and we decided to start working on sports modeling stuff full time at that point.
There's just so much misinformation out there, I think, and when people think about sports betting, they think about a narrative, and this team's going to beat that team, or this is the sharp side today, and there's a lot more to it that we find fascinating, and we were hoping to share that.
You know, as I said, more and more people are trying their hand at sports betting. And I love how you started off the book on how people should view the idea of placing a bet. I know a lot of people just think it's them against a sports book, but that's not really the case, is it?
Yeah, that's not the case at all. It's funny because, you know, you if you're in Las Vegas, you know, and you walk into a sports book, you see guys sitting by themselves in a cubicle with a sheet of paper and, you know, maybe a notebook, and they're doing calculations, and it looks exactly like the guy doing the Sudoku puzzle.
Really, if you look at it, if every sports book had the same line, it kind of would be a Sudoku puzzle.
Right.
You look at the lines, you make your own determinations, and you go from there. However, every sports book has a different line. If you think about a situation in a football game where one sports book has a 3.5, one sports book has a 4.5, and I'm a bettor, you can clearly see how if I see the 3.5 and the 4.5, this sports bet is a three-way game between both sports books and myself.
You know, one of the first concepts I read in the book, and I thought was a great point, was, you know, the whole idea about sports betting is to get the best value for your bet and to avoid what you called the picked over effect. What is that, and why should bettors be looking at that?
Right. So, you know, it's this, again, goes back to kind of the fallacy with thinking about it as like a puzzle or a one-person thing, because, you know, if you're looking at a football line, you're looking at the 3.5, say, you know, well, you're not the only person who's looking at that 3.5. There's a whole country full of people who are looking at exactly that same line. And there's some people who, you know, bet a lot of money who look at those lines, you know, pretty much all the time. You know, they sleep maybe a little bit, but, you know, and if there was something that was just great value, if a sportsbook was just giving money away, well, somebody else would have seen that. Now, you know, this is not to say you can't possibly beat sports betting, but because you obviously can, but you have to understand that every line you're looking at has also been looked at by other smart people. If there was value there, they probably would have gotten it. Certainly if there was easy value, if it was just obvious value, they would have grabbed it. Eventually, if people bet something, the line moves and then it goes away.
You know, at the core of any betting activity are very two important concepts that you guys touched on. That is the break-even percentage and the hold. I want to talk first about the break-even percentage. What is that, and why is it so important for bettors?
Well, the break-even percentage is the percent your bet has to win in order for you to break even if you theoretically make the same bet over and over and over again. So, like, if I'm flipping a coin, the break-even percentage is 50%. Now, the minute I change those odds from American 100 to -10 or, you know, decimal 0.91, et cetera, the minute I change those odds, now, if I want to break even on my bet, I have to win a different percentage at the time.
Yeah, so the way, you know, sports betting odds are presented in the U.S. are in American odds. And I have to say, I mean, I'm way used to American odds. That's what I've been looking at for 20 years. But, you know, if you're an alien and you're just seeing them for the first time, maybe it's not the best way to express this stuff, right? So let's say you got a baseball game and the Yankees are -150. Well, what does -150 mean? It means that you have to bet $150 to win 100. The minus means that's how much you have to bet to win $100. So what is the break-even percentage of that? That, to me, that's the more useful number. Well, if you're betting 150 to win 100, then if you bet 5 times, you know, you have to win 3 out of those 5 times to break even, because you're going to lose 150 twice. If you lose, that's 300, and then you win 100 3 times, that's 300. So you're going to break even if you win 3 and lose 2. That means your break-even percentage has to be 60%. So I think that 60% number is a more useful number to think about when you're analyzing sports bets logically than the -150 number. So we in the book suggest, you know, we give you kind of a formula, a quick way to convert between that, you know, that minus plus notation and the break-even percentages, which really let you think more clearly about it.
Now, the second concept you really discuss a lot in the book is the hold, which is the way a sports book makes money. What should bettors be aware of when it comes to that figure?
So again, in the book, we you know, to me, this is a very basic concept. The hold is exactly how a sportsbook makes money. They put minus 110 on both sides, and we teach you in the book how to calculate the hold percentage, first of all. And then beyond that, the more interesting point is how to get that hold percentage down, not from one sports book, but by comparing two different sports books or two different markets against each other, which is really an extremely core sports betting concept. So as a simple example,
really, it's a core gambling concept.
Yeah, it's a core gambling concept.
Sure.
The concept applies in financial markets, it just applies in almost any, money sense, really. But let's say you have, two sports books, and they both have the Yankees-Red Sox game. And at one sports book, the Yankees are minus 150 and the Red Sox are plus 140. And then at another sports book, the Yankees are minus 142 and the Red Sox are plus 132. Okay? So you got two sports books, same game, same markets, same outcomes. You can't tie. Baseball games don't tie, right? Mm-hmm. So at sportsbook A, you've got the Red Sox plus 142. At sportsbook B, plus 140. At sportsbook B, you've got the Yankees minus 142. So each of the sportsbooks on their own have their, quote unquote normal hold on the game. But from your perspective as a bettor, you can take minus plus 140 at one book or minus 142 at the other book. To you, it just looks like a market that's only 2 cents, plus 140 minus 142, which means you've taken that hold, that the hold that the sportsbook has on it, and you've cut it by like 80%, basically.
To simplify, would you rather play a line that was minus one, pick a side between minus 142 and minus 132, or minus 142 and plus 140?
Right.
And the way to find the minus 142 and the plus 140 is to sign up accounts at sports books and look for lines.
Yep.
I got to tell you, I love that concept when I read it in the book. I mean, that whole type of synthetic hold when it comes as close to zero as possible, using the different sports books against each other almost.
Go
ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought that was the end of the question. It's funny how often, from the sportsbook side, they often think, well, we're going to hold 4% on this game. We're going to put up this 4% hold, this 5% hold, and that's what we're going to hold. Yet any bettor that's looking across various sportsbooks is going to lose less than that, and that's right off the top. By opening the accounts, by shopping lines, you're going to lose less than that hold. If you shop lines and look and think about it enough, you're going to get the hold on your side.
Now, does that concept and that technique really help the bettors who are living in states with a lot of sports books? I mean, for example, I'm sitting here in New Jersey. I can go to any brick and mortar sports book in New Jersey or in Pennsylvania. And plus I have like 3 sport book apps on my phone. However, people living in Rhode Island that have 2 brick and mortar sports books with no more mobile sports betting, how does that technique you just described about creating a synthetic zero hold benefit people in New Jersey more than Rhode Island?
Well, it's interesting you ask, because obviously in New Jersey, you're blessed with many options. You're currently blessed with a lot of marketing dollars being thrown at bettors and many lines. You can sit at your house, you can look at the lines, you can choose the best ones. Now, of course, everybody else is doing the same thing. That's the picked over effect. There's some very good bettors in New Jersey. They're also sitting looking at the exact same apps, looking for the exact same bets. However, in Rhode Island, where there's only a couple of brick and mortars, they take lower limits. There's probably not the same sharp bettors that are sitting in those brick and mortars. Therefore, if you lived in Long Island, it might be harder, it might be more time consuming, but less picked over effect. You go to the casino, you look at the lines. Now, of course, you're only able to bet at the lines in Rhode Island, but if you also are able to see lines at other places in other states, other sports books, you can create the same synthetic holds. Now, of course, you won't be able to place the bet in New Jersey when you like that side. You'll only you'll get the bets that you find in Rhode Island. But if you take the same concept and you only play the bets that you would take in Rhode Island, you'll actually end up doing better than at the sharper places in New Jersey when you're competing with the best of the best.
Yeah, because the key, the sort of interesting idea there, I think, is so I agree, obviously, completely. So on one hand, the competition in New Jersey really helps bettors because obviously there's so many different options, and it gives you more ability to get those holds down. On the other hand, as Matt pointed out, there's also a lot of competition from the bettor side. And sometimes you can find, the road less traveled sometimes can be profitable too. But the interesting idea, I think, is that you don't actually have to be able to bet both sides. It's useful information to know that someone somewhere is taking money on a bet at a certain number, because, and this is a more general sports betting concept, anytime anyone is willing to actually bet real money on something, that's useful information. And that's information that you can use to your advantage, even if you're sitting in Rhode Island and you can't actually accept the bet yourself.
A great example for Rhode Island, the type of example. I have a friend who lives in Mississippi, and which is a similar situation to Rhode Island. I think it's changing, but at least for now, it's only brick and mortar. There's no mobile, and some of the places are somewhat independent and run by some of the smaller operators. And he was able to go to one of the brick and mortars, sit there, wait for the halftimes of the college basketball games, and they were actually using a European basketball model that had the totals to where there was more points in the first half of their college basketball games. So these things were like 5 and 6 points off of other sports books across the world. You just bet about 500 a game throughout the season and ended up making a solid six figures. And that's something that would never happen at an app in New Jersey where someone could be sitting on their couch at home, seeing the same thing, picking off the same numbers. The fact that he lived in a small place in Mississippi where he had to go to a place where not many people were to get this was the same reason the numbers were so. I mean, he was playing into a synthetic hold that was in his favor of like 10%.
Right.
One of the questions we get from our listeners regarding sports betting is, where do these numbers and odds come from? And I think the great thing about your book, The Logic of Sports Betting, is you pull the curtain open on this industry and explain why the numbers are what they are. Can you explain the difference in market-making sportsbook versus retail sportsbooks? Because I think it's a really important distinction that you made in your book.
Well, I think years ago there was a guy in the Man of Vegas, a legend named Bob Martin, and he was, I considered the sharpest better, and that's where the term the Vegas line comes from. It was basically his line. Well, of course, that was years before internet. Today, everybody shares information. The information gets shared often within seconds. Therefore, it doesn't take one person setting lines in one place and then people asking what lines it is. Everybody, the entire planet of sports fans is participating in this process. Ed?
Yeah. So the market making process is just the simple idea that I think a lot of people have about bookmaking is you put up a line, you take a bet, and you move the line, right? And you do that enough times. Okay, I put up pick'em. Someone wants to bet on Alabama. Okay, I move the line to Alabama -1. Someone wants to bet on Alabama again. Okay, I move the line to Alabama -2. And I just keep going until people stop wanting to bet one side overwhelmingly and start to want to bet either side. And now I've found a pretty good line. So that's the concept of market making. It's called price discovery. Again, this concept applies in financial markets and all sorts of things. So the thing is, though, that not everyone is going to have, you need some sort of betting liquidity, for lack of a better word. You need enough bettors who are interested in the market to make a market like that. Well, what happens if you want to put a lineup for a game where, you don't really have, hundreds of bettors in your market interested in betting? You only have a few, but you want to put a lineup for them. So an example I often give is think about Australian rules football, right? So in New Jersey, I'm sure there are some Australian people who want to bet Australian rules football, but really there probably aren't that many. And whereas in Australia, the whole country wants to bet on Australian rules football. So you got a sports book based in Australia. They can easily do the market-making process. They can put up a line. They can take bets. They can move the bets on action, and they're going to find a good line. If you're in New Jersey and you want to put up a line on Australian rules football, what are you going to do? You're going to copy the sportsbook's line in Australia, right? So they did the work. They found a good line. And now you just say, okay, well, that's a good line. Let me just put that up and offer it to my bettors. Now, and that's what we call the retail process. That's where we're saying, okay, we're just going to let our customers bet, basically buy a bet from us on Australian rules football at the prevailing price that we know about. Now, the problem from the retail bookmaker's perspective is they don't really know where that line came from. All they're looking at is a screen that says, -12.5 on Sydney or whatever. And, they don't know. They just put -12.5. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe you have the smartest Australian rules football bettor in the world in New Jersey, and they want to unload on your numbers. So the sports book potentially could be at a disadvantage when they're trying to copy a market maker in that way. But that's the basic idea.
We see on TV the sports analysis and these betting experts. They're telling where all the public money is going on a game, which side has the most money going to it. Is that an important fact, and how do bettors use that information about who's betting on who?
So the answer to this was a little bit complicated, and it has to do with that market maker retail concept. So there's a lot of people who bet real money every day into American sports markets, and they tend to bet in certain places and not others for various reasons. And so their action is going to tend to show up, only at a subset of all the available sports books, and then there are other sports books where they're going to predominantly get, public money. So in other words, not these, sort of more hardcore bettors that bet bigger and, spend more time on this. So the way that shakes out is that kind of everybody involved in this market knows about this. This is not a secret. And so everybody knows that the lines that are arrived at where the sort of sharper people tend to bet are going to be sharper lines on average, because exactly the market making process tends to happen, better there. And therefore the line that you get at those sports books is going to be a little sharper. Well, what often happens is that the sports books that don't take a lot of the sharp action often tend to behave kind of like in the Australian rules football example. They say, okay, well, instead of take a bet, move a line, let me just kind of peg my line to whatever they have where I know where the sharp guys are betting. So what that happens is that the line tends to get set at different sports books predominantly than where the public money gets bet.
It would be a good example of this. Like, how much did New Jersey lose in the Super Bowl? It was well publicized. Well, it was, what, 1.4 million?
It was more than that, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, however much it was, you think about it, why did they lose so much? Well, they lost so much because they decided to make a bet with the people on the other end of the bet, that the public bet on the Patriots. They said, you know what? Instead of moving the line, trying to take action on the other side, we're just going to hold this and hope that the Rams cover +3. I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. It's in fact a good strategy. It happens every day across every market and every sport by the same sportsbooks. They're not balancing this action. They're simply holding the action they think is good, hoping that their side will win the game or cover the game enough of the time, which obviously they mostly do. And therefore, for the most part, as a bettor, we don't really see the public money moving the line. And if you think about it, I mean, the Super Bowl line moved some. Well, yeah, they had, like you said, much more than 1.4 million, bet on the side. If you take a, run-of-the-mill, even NFL game, the game on Sunday afternoon, there's a lot less action in the game. They're not moving the line on the public action on that game.
Yeah, they'd rather gamble against the public than kind of, in their mind, they're giving some of their EV back.
Well, they are.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
Look at it from their perspective.
For sure. I'm not saying they're making a mistake at all. I think they're making a very logical business decision. But the reality from the bettor's perspective is, well, if the sportsbook doesn't move the line, then you can't bet against the public because they didn't move the line, right? So that's kind of the idea. Yeah.
I got to tell you, the one concept that I loved in your book, The Logic of Sports Betting, you guys make the great point that in order to find good bets, a bettor should attack a sports book when they are vulnerable and avoid betting into a sports book's strengths. What are some of the strengths and weaknesses of a sports book that a bettor should be aware of?
So
in play.
Yeah, in play. So in play is a big one. I mean, this is a big one that's coming. So
I got to tell you, it's huge in New Jersey. That everyone's talking about in play betting in Jersey. So it's such a big issue.
The strongest lines are these ones that get tons of market making, where there's tons of time. Everyone can look at the lines. Everyone can take a bet. The more this picked up, the more all these processes.
The more these stories about the information.
Right.
Everyone's sharing in the process of making the line.
Right. So the lines that get made that way end up being the strongest lines. Your NFL sides and totals, your NBA sides and totals. All those big numbers everyone talks about. all the bets that are smaller, that fewer people are talking about, fewer people are looking at, maybe there's less time.
Here's a great example. The other night, Game 2 of the NBA Finals, the line was up for 3 days, means the same two teams playing anyway. Everybody's talking about the game. Everyone's analyzing the game. There's so much thought and money. There's bets both ways. I think the line closed, it was about Toronto 2.5. And that line has to be considered super sharp, super picked over, so much time, so many thoughts, so many people. Then, in like the middle of the fourth quarter, Klay Thompson went up, he shot a shot, he came down, he was limping, cut the commercial. Sportsbooks put a line up. You were able to bet on Toronto plus points, Toronto to win the game, Golden State minus points at the time they were winning the game, Golden State to win the game. There was a total up. All of the places that then put up a line, they had to take in that information that Klay Thompson, Golden State's best player, may not finish the game, as well as the game situation was having all this information. They had to put up a lineup within seconds. At that point, there wasn't a whole day for everyone to look at the line, think about it. How hurt is Klay Thompson? Is he going to come back? Is he not going to come back? Is he in the locker room? Let's go replay that. Is that a knee? Is that a hamstring? There wasn't time for any of this. Therefore, different places will have different numbers. Synthetic holds lower. I'm sure there was many cases of arbitrage, scalping, like negative hold, where I could take one side at, +6 even money, the other side at -6 at plus money. I'm sure especially in New Jersey, I'm sure these spots about now the whole timeout lasted for 2 minutes. But what a great opportunity for bettors. No matter what side you want, you would have been able to profit at that point. Whereas an hour before the game, good luck.
Right.
Yeah, that was a lot of people's questions about in-play betting because, bettors have limited time. They really can't go shopping around and looking at the different sports books, especially if you don't have mobile where you're at. What are some of how should a bettor use the limited amount of time when you doing in-play betting?
Well, what a great question. The way I would look at it is I would take, if I have mobile, I do in Nevada, I'll look at a couple of sports books that, will accept, the action, and I'll look at those lines. If I'm in a brick and mortar, like your Rhode Island, suggestion, I'll look at the Rhode Island line. Now, what I would do is I would compare the line in the brick and mortar in Rhode Island, or even the Nevada sports. I would compare that line to any other lines that I can happen to see. And as more places come online and more information gets distributed, that I think will be a little easier. But you simply look at the places you can actually play at, and go from there. As a matter of fact, this feels like a shameless plug, but we're launching our company in the fall. We'll have free to use in-play odds throughout American sports on our website.
Wow,
so
that's great.
I'll tell you what to do in September. Look at our line, look at your sports book, decide which one is sharper. If there's a negative synthetic hold and you think that you like our side, well, bet the other side.
Right. Yeah, our website's going to be DeckPrismSports.com, Deck, D-E-C-K, PrismSports.com. And yeah, as Matt said, our company is we're going to supply lines to sports books, but also, at least in the meantime and possibly indefinitely, we plan to also publish a lot of our lines on our website.
More than anything, we're trying to raise the water level.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with the book.
We think more information for everyone, bettors, operators, regulators, lawmakers, everyone, the better. That's kind of where we're at, and that's the approach we're taking.
Now, like I said, you have an amazing book here, and the amount of information. I've been a gaming lawyer for 25 years, and I learned so much from reading this book. It's just fantastic. But I want to ask you something. A lot of bettors are familiar with the point spreads and the money lines, and what you guys call related markets. I mean, are they the places where bettors find the most value, or you think it's the derivative markets like prop bets and future bets where bettors can really do well and find good bets?
Well, so when we say related market, we really are just talking about two markets where, the price is logically related to one another. So one related market might be, Toronto's chance to win game one and Toronto's chance to win the series. Obviously, those are related, right? The more likely Toronto is to win game one, the more likely they are to win the series. Also, there's bets within the game one. Toronto to win game one, Toronto to win the first half of game one. Obviously, if they win the first half, they're more likely to win the game. First quarter, even some props can be related. What is the Kawhi Leonard over prop is probably related to Toronto winning the game. All that kind of stuff. Basically any two bets that you can think, how are these related? If one wins, is one more likely to win, and vice versa. Those are related markets.
Usually this is a spot that takes math. If you want to compare related markets, no matter what, you have to use some level of math. An example of this, I was actually asked yesterday. I was telling somebody how much I like the Toronto Raptors in general in the series versus Golden State. The person I was talking to said, "Oh, well, then you must have bet the Raptors for the series." Well, no, as a matter of fact, I didn't. The reason being, I used math to compare the game lines that I saw. My ideas for what the game lines would be later in the series, and I used them to compare that to the series price. I have an Excel spreadsheet with if statements. Again, this is a couple levels higher, but I used the math, compared the lines, and determined that actually I was better off betting the Raptors in the games rather than the Raptors for the entire series.
You guys made a really interesting point about future bets. Can you talk a little bit about future bets, and is that a place where bettors right now can find real value?
Sure. So the futures bets are kind of a double-edged sword, and this is sort of a timely question because in some ways this is I think what Jeopardy James has been doing a little bit, in his sports betting career. So. Futures bets are multi-way bets, obviously. You can bet on, any of 30, 32 teams to win the championship, 15 to win the pennant or whatever it is. So the way sportsbooks treat multi-way bets is they add more hold to the market. So instead of having like a 4% hold market like you'd have on a two-way market, you have like a 15, 20, sometimes even more percent hold on these futures markets. Now, you might be, the sort of, first level thinking is, oh, well, that hold is crazy. It's hard to beat a 4%. I'm not even going to think about a 15%. But that's actually not quite the right way to think about them because they're actually much, much harder for the sports book to price as well because now instead of trying to get like basically one number right, which is what they're trying to do on a two-way market, they're trying to get 15 independent numbers right. These numbers are all related to each other, and it's sort of the shape of a distribution. It turns out to be a much harder problem for the sports books, and they miss things all the time. So it's also not always on the top of their list of things to do. So let's say there's a champ. I mean, this happens at baseball. Let's say one team goes on a 10-game winning streak. Well, their chance of winning the pennant might have gone up by quite a bit. The sports book might be a little bit behind on that. They might not, maybe the team's still not in first place. They're not now leading. They're just, more likely than they used to be. They went up from 0.5% to, 3 or 4% chance to win the pennant. But that futures price is still stuck at, 1% maybe. All of a sudden it went from a bad bet to a really good bet, and no one was even paying attention.
What do you guys think about parlay betting? Everyone seems that I talk to likes to bet parlays. What should bettors be looking for when they're looking to bet a parlay, or are they even smart to do? Should you stay away from them?
I love betting parlays, and I think parlays are a great tool, whether you're a recreational bettor that's expecting to lose the full hold or someone who's trying to cut into that hold to even win. One of the things to remember with parlays that I think sometimes people forget is you're actually betting more money than it seems. And we explained this in the book, but to make it really simple, how often do you hear about the guy who's bet a 10-team parlay, an 11-team parlay? He's down to his final leg. He's going to win $100,000. All of a sudden, the last thing he wants is this bet on this game. When he bet his original $50 or $100, he didn't realize that in the permutation of the first 9 winning, he was actually going to end up with $50,000 bet on the Monday Night Football game. What should he have done if he wanted to hedge? Well, probably simply bet a 9-team parlay instead of a 10-team parlay. And again, this is not saying it's wrong in any way, just that you have to think about how much you're actually betting when you bet a parlay.
Yeah, and this is, I think, kind of a key point surrounding parlays. Is that, people talk about them on the industry side. They say, oh, parlays are a big moneymaker for the house. They hold 30% on the parlay. But what is really happening is, when you bet a $50 parlay, as Matt said, you're not really betting $50. You're betting, the equivalent of $500, on a 10 leg parlay, or $450, because, if you win the first bet, you double it, you bet again, and you double it, and you bet again. And we've all seen what happens when you double over and over again, and the numbers get really big. So, it's that's really, I think, the key concept is, that you're actually betting more money. And once you understand that, I think, the ways to use parlays to, be in a bettor's favor, start to fall out from that observation.
People sitting in states with lots of sports books are constantly bombarded by books offering like bonus deposits, odd boosts, rebates. I know one book in Jersey is saying that if you get 3 legs of a 4-leg parlay right, you don't lose any money. Is there some real value for bettors in these promotions, or do you really have to examine these closely to see if there's value there?
So, obviously you have to examine them. You have to think about them.
Sure.
The ones I've seen, a lot of them have been very attractive. I've seen a lot that I've been like, wow, that's a really good deal. Now they don't give away the store. If let's say they boost an odds on a baseball game from, they're in New Jersey and they want to boost the Yankees, and the Yankees are minus 200, and they say, okay, we'll make them minus 150. Well, if you're moving a line from minus 200 to minus 150, that's just giving money away, because that's enough of a move that you're for sure going to be able to create a synthetic market with some other sports book where this is a profitable opportunity one way or the other. So a lot of them I see are really great deals like that, but that doesn't mean every deal they offer is a great deal. You have to kind of look at them and think about, well, what are they really offering? How good is this deal? If they move it from minus 200 to minus 190 and they were already holding 6% on the market in the first place, well, maybe it's not a good deal. But, a lot of the ones I've seen have been really, really just very strong deals for the bettors, that if you're just aware and you're in New Jersey or you're in a new state where there's lots of competitors and people running promotions, that, honestly, if you just churn the promotions on a day-to-day basis, I think you can really, create a pretty solid earn.
Well, maybe a really easy way to think about it too is anytime you're betting with a promotion, whether it's a rollover bonus or on a event that's being promoted in the way it's described, anytime when your bet is also in line with a marketing promotion, you're inherently going to be doing better than if it wasn't.
Right.
So, assuming you're gambling anyway, whether it's, with an edge, not with an edge, whether you're trying to win, not trying to win, no matter where you fall on this spectrum, by taking full advantage of what the sports books or operators are offering, you're going to end up with more money in the long run with very little less time possibly. And one of the cool tools in the book is, we show you the best ways to maximize, things like rollover bonuses and free play. And some of it's a little counterintuitive, but it's also, pretty interesting.
Ed and Matthew, we're running out of time, and we just scratched the surface of what's in your great book, but I want to make sure you tell people where they can get The Logic of Sports Betting.
Sure. So again, as you said, the book's called The Logic of Sports Betting. It's available at Amazon in Kindle and paperback format currently. And we don't have audiobook yet, but we're working on it. But Kindle and paperback is available right now at Amazon.
We get a lot of books here at the radio show on different subjects in gambling, but I have to tell you, The Logic of Sports Betting by Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow is one of the best books on sports betting I have ever read, and I urge you, if you're serious about sports betting, to pick it up. Ed and Matthew, thank you for coming on and telling us all about it.
Thanks. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore. Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here.
Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more.
Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to beangenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE. And By the Numbers is sponsored by Play Sugar House Online Casino and Sportsbook in New Jersey. Sign up at playsugarhouse.com/Pike and get a first deposit match of up to $250. Enjoy the casino experience online. Play Sugar House offers over 400 games online, slots, table games, hey, even bingo. It's like being in a casino without leaving your home. That's playsugarhouse.com/Pike to get your first deposit match of up to $250 today. Must be 21 years or older and physically present in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 800gambler.org.
All right, welcome to another edition of By the Numbers, where we let the numbers tell the story. I throw out a number to Dave, let him try and guess it.
I usually get it wrong.
And then we talk about what the number actually means or what effect it's had or where it stands and whatever we're talking about here. And the first number we're going to talk about is 20,000.
Do not know. I'm not even going to waste people's time listening to me trying to figure it out. I have no idea what 20,000 is.
It's a dollar amount.
I have no idea.
It's the amount a bettor in Colorado wagered on the Atlanta Hawks to win the 2021 NBA championship.
Oh, boy. Oh, jeez.
Odds are 100 to 1 at the time of the bet.
Wow. Okay.
If they somehow win the championship, it's a $2.02 million payout.
Whew, okay.
I mean, you got to be a really big Hawks fan to actually bet on them to even make it to the playoffs sometimes.
Hey, good luck to them, though. But, good luck to the bettor. So I don't know. I have nothing to say about that one.
Well, he doubled down on the Hawks anyway.
What are we saying? It's I hate to say it's a he because more women are betting now, too.
How about
so
this?
I went the bettor. I use
it.
No, don't say it.
Okay.
But whoever the bettor is,
this person doubled down. This person doubled down on the Hawks. They put another $20,000 on the Hawks to win the Eastern Conference.
Okay,
that's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, I would have said yes.
I would guess it's better odds than the Hawks winning the whole thing, but still, I think odds can't be that
40
great.
to 1.
Yeah.
At the time of the bet, 40 to 1.
Wow.
Potential payout of $820,000.
I don't know about that one.
If you're a fan of the Hawks,
hey,
you know what? We see this betting with the heart versus the head sometimes. So.
If somehow he wins, or they win, or she wins, or whoever the bettor is wins, that's the big story.
Yeah.
In the country.
Yeah.
So,
good luck.
Good luck.
Next, we have the oddly specific 51,838.
I know that one because that made the big news, and that's the attendance at the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
Yep.
So they had just over 51,800 people. Some other numbers from the Derby this year: average 14.4 million viewers and a 7.2 household rating.
Mm-hmm.
Toss in the 140,000 people that streamed it, and you have 14.5 million viewers overall for this year's Kentucky Derby. Last year, just as a comparison, 9.26 million viewers and 4.8 rating for last year's Kentucky Derby. But that was the COVID messed up Kentucky Derby.
And the winner of the race was Medina Spirit. I forgot the name. I drew a blank on it. It was the 12 to 1.
For some reason, Medina stuck in my head, but the Spirit thing just drifted away. But viewership peaked at 15.7 million viewers during the quarter hour with the race.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the case with it. Didn't set any records, but the record was 2010 when Super Saver won.
Okay,
16.5 million viewers. So they actually had a good amount of viewership. It's just no record set. And this was an interesting number for me. NBC's Derby coverage generated north of $35 million in ad sales.
Wow. Okay.
Next number, $12.5 million.
Is it a viewership thing? It seems like
We're staying with viewership.
We
started with attendance when we talked about viewership.
I'm trying to think of a big event that happened.
NFL
recently.
draft.
Okay.
The first round of the draft, anyway. Okay. 12.5 million.
By the way, that's the only portion of the draft that I watch. You know what? I'm a big fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, so I just went to the Philadelphia Eagles website after the first round, and I just saw what they did, and they have highlights, and so I watched it there.
And also, when you're dealing with like the first 5 picks, everyone knows who they're picking anyway, just about.
Yeah.
And the first 2 picks went the way everyone said it was going to go. The third pick was kind of interesting, but I follow just the beat reporters on Twitter during the
draft.
By
the way, on a side note, you told me you actually won money on that third pick, and you forgot you even bet on that.
That's how much I watched the draft. I follow the reporters. The reporters have more interesting commentary. I actually did not like the ESPN broadcast this year, and I hate to say that. I mean, I missed Trey Wingo doing the draft. Yeah. So maybe I'm alone in that, but I thought Trey Wingo was the perfect host for the NFL draft.
Yeah, I kind of watch it in a way that, I walk in and out of it. I flip around. There was basketball that night, so I was back and forth of it. So, the talk between the actual drafting, I kind of like zone that out, or I'm flipping between games. There's baseball on that night. There was basketball on that night. So,
I have to admit, I'm always impressed with Mel Kiper. Every draft pick that comes up, he has stats galore on the guy.
Yeah, well, that's what he does. Yeah. That's all he does.
So that's always fun to see a couple of times. But the first round is what I watch when I watch it. But I've gotten to the point where I just follow the beat reporters on Twitter because they actually announce them before the TV does.
Let me tell you something. The most fun I've ever had on draft days was when the first round of the draft was on Saturdays. It started at noon on Saturdays.
Oh, I missed that.
We were usually at a sports bar around a whole lot of people watching the draft, and that was a lot of fun. But now they moved it to prime time. They're getting a lot more advertising dollars for it. But
that's all it was for. Yeah,
it's still draft days in a sports bar when they started at noon on Saturdays was so great. They had giveaways and they have shirts they were throwing out, and so
I'm sure that some bars do it now on the Thursday nights and the Friday nights that both the first 2 rounds are shown.
We went
first 3.
We went to one of these places in North Jersey. I forgot the name. Fox and Hound. I don't know if they're still around.
It's a Jets bar in New Jersey.
It's a Jets bar up in North Jersey, and I still have. I guess there were giveaways, and I still have a beach umbrella that I won from there. So I'm in a sports bar Saturday watching the draft, holding a beach umbrella in the middle of a bar. So that was weird.
Yeah, no, the prime time is great for the ad revenue, and that's what they did it for.
Yeah,
sure. And if you like just focusing on one round of the draft, that's great right there.
Yeah,
I preferred the rounds 1 and 2 on Saturday and 3 through 7 on Sunday.
Yeah,
because it allowed you to actually enjoy the day. Now you have to wait all day, and Thursday night, great, whatever. But a lot of states except Pennsylvania allow betting on the draft, so that's another probably reason why they moved it. That Thursday night works so well now.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other numbers: ESPN had 6.48 million viewers, ABC had 4.19, NFL Network had 1.85 million. Last number, 2022.
This one was all over the news too. Is this the year Amazon will start their Thursday night football broadcast?
They were originally set to start at 2023, but the NFL and Fox worked out a deal where Fox dropped their last year of the deal that would cover Thursday night football. So Amazon is now starting 1 year earlier.
So what does that mean to me as a viewer? Do I have to have an Amazon TV account? Do I get one of those free Amazon accounts? Do I just go to Amazon.com and they're streaming the football game? What does that mean for me? I still don't know what I have to do to watch Thursday night football coming up.
It's going to be very interesting because it used to be when Thursday night football happened, it was also on NFL Network.
Yeah.
And I don't know if NFL Network is still going to be able to do a simulcast of Thursday night football. a lot of things are uncertain right now with the way Amazon's doing it. Amazon supposedly has a good broadcast crew.
Great. And I'm sure they do. I just want to know how I watch it. And, we're talking about going to sports bars and watching these events. I mean, what does that mean for sports bars? I mean, for all their TVs have to be hooked up with Amazon? Do they need smart TVs to actually carry football now? Or what does that mean? I don't even know what it means.
Remember how DirecTV had the bar package for sports?
Yeah.
You're probably going to see an Amazon bar package.
I wonder if the NFL themselves will just do a bar package, or will they have to go through these media companies to do it?
Well, it's all going to be worked out
because they're all over the place. Well, you have the Amazon, you have Fox Sports. Who else is involved in NFL this year? ABC.
Everybody's still there. It's just that Thursday night got moved to Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon Prime or whatever they want to call it.
See, that's why I don't know if it's Amazon. I don't know if it's Amazon Prime. They have
From
Amazon
what I understand,
TV.
when Amazon did the broadcast, you needed a subscription to Amazon Prime to watch it.
I have signed up for Amazon. All right, it's a free whatever it is. But I don't know if that allows me to watch Thursday Night Football.
Well, what'll be interesting is if Amazon sells enough advertising in it, will they make it a free broadcast?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah,
I mean, would still need to sign up for Amazon Prime, but
if I was Amazon, I would make it free for everyone for the first couple of weeks, get everyone hooked, and then then drop the bomb and say, you know what, now you got to pay.
Or give
that's what you got to do.
Or give them the free 30-day free trial of Amazon Prime when you sign up.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So there's going to be lots of different
and really hope for good
there.
Games.
Yeah.
So people will pay for it.
Well, Thursday night seems to not have good games recently. Some of them were really bad games on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And, again, I think they're also adding flexing in for Thursday night now, so I don't know. We'll see what happens, but Amazon now will be paying $1 billion a year annually to the NFL to carry Thursday night games a year earlier, so 13 years instead of 12.
All right, the Turnpike Sports Book Report is up. That's where we talk about what's going on in the sports books across the country. That's up next. Stick around. We'll be right back with Turnpike Sports.
Attention seniors with Medicare. This is an important announcement. Did you know you may qualify for a monthly Social Security rebate? Did you know you may qualify for a $0 monthly premium? That's right. You may qualify to get $135 added back to your Social Security check each month. Just call the Medicare benefits line to get your options. It's a free call. You may also qualify for $0 premiums, dental coverage, vision coverage, hearing coverage, and prescription drug coverage. With this type of plan, you don't need Medicare supplement insurance. Call now because you deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits, including a rebate to your Social Security check each month. Agents are standing by with free information regarding Medicare benefits. It's a free call with no obligation, but it could mean big savings for you. Call the Medicare benefits line now to see if you're eligible for a Social Security rebate.
Call 800-574-6770. 800-574-6770.
Now that we're home more than ever, we need to feel safe. Call it a sign of the times or the world we now live in. What do you want to keep safe? The people in your life? What do you want to protect? Your possessions, the things that belong to you, the things that you've worked hard for. Wouldn't it be nice to have tested, trusted 24/7 protection? Peace of mind, real protection that's always there for you and your whole family? Well, now you can with one of our state-of-the-art home security systems. Everyone thinks their home is safe until the unexpected happens. Help protect your home and loved ones today with the affordable next generation in home security. To help keep your family and property safe, call 1-800-520-4068 now. Representatives are standing by to assist you. That's 1-800-250-4068. 1-800-520-4068.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. To get the coverage you need, call the number on the screen now.
Turnpike Sports Book Report.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sportsbook. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This week's Turnpike Sports Book Report is really more heavy on legislation and deals than it is sports betting numbers in terms of handle and revenue, as well as launches. So before we get into all the deals, all the legislations, let's hit some of the numbers.
Okay.
We got two states going in opposite directions.
Okay.
How about that? Iowa and Oregon. Oregon, they had an April handle of $25.32 million. That's an increase of almost 100% from the month before.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's a huge jump.
In April, what's going on in April in Oregon? I mean, I guess basketball and baseball heats up in Oregon, and I'm trying to, when you do these states, I'm trying to figure out any local things happening there that really boosts their sports betting numbers.
Well, even their numbers, their revenue was up to $2.73 million. That was only up 5%, nothing compared to almost 100% for handle. But top sports, and this goes to what you had just mentioned. This is by handle. Basketball with $13.6 million, baseball with $4.25 million, soccer $2.61 million.
Okay.
Revenue, basketball led as well.
And of course, it's April, so it's all pro basketball.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Number of bets totaled 760,000. The average wager for the state was $33.31.
I love it when a state puts out that stat. What's the average bet a person makes?
Well,
not a lot of states do that, right?
Well,
just a few of them do.
Since we're dealing with Oregon, this is one of two states where you have to mention one specific sport.
Oh, is that my
favorite
favorite
blows my
sport?
mind still.
One of my favorite sports, huh?
Table tennis.
Table tennis. All right. That in Colorado, right? They're big in table tennis.
Yes. Table tennis was sixth in terms of handle this month. Past month, I should say. 729,000, just under 730,000. It was fourth in revenue, $65,600, and had a hold of almost 9%.
Have we checked on Nevada and New Jersey how table tennis is doing in those two states? And Pennsylvania too's up there with one of the top gaming markets. How is table tennis doing in the top echelon of gaming markets?
The one thing, other than some of these other states like Oregon and Colorado, Table tennis sometimes falls into that other category. So that's lumped in with a lot of MMA, a lot of...
The one thing I'm thinking of, table tennis, it kind of the same thing as soccer. Soccer is a much more popular sport, but table tennis usually comes from overseas, and people who want to bet in the morning, maybe they jump on the table tennis action because 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, there's really not a whole lot of sports to bet on.
So you have your morning coffee and your morning
wager.
wager.
You go. Well, hey, someone's like the action in the early morning.
Well, just so you know, and I just saw this in one of. In a couple different reports, there is a table tennis league that just did a new media deal overseas.
Wow, okay.
So you may start
more
seeing
betting.
some more betting.
All right.
But let's go over to Iowa. This is going the opposite direction than Oregon.
Okay.
They had an April handle of $118 million, the largest single month-to-month drop in terms of money. The handle was 26% lower than March's handle. Now, March also was a record.
Well, March had, the gambling event of the year, and that's March Madness. So, I think once we get closer to football season, I think you're going to see those numbers in Iowa switch direction.
I think all the books are going to go up.
Oh,
when football
yeah,
comes
course,
around again.
And
also, I notice is a big betting event are the NBA playoffs. That's a lot of betting.
Oh, sure.
That's coming around the bend here.
So yeah, you might see something there.
But it was
and
also
hockey's coming up too. Hockey playoffs and things like that. Nothing like hockey playoffs.
And baseball's just getting started.
Sure.
So you got a long way to go for them. But this was the lowest handle since December of 2020. $104.8 million was that low point in December. Let's see. Revenue of just over $7 million. Dropped 42% from March.
Okay.
Again, that was an all-time record there too for revenue, $13.5 million
in March.
For revenue, hold of 6.5%, almost 2 points lower than the previous month, 8.3%.
Okay.
So, again, sportsbooks gave a lot back.
Yeah.
Or you could say the bettors did better.
Yeah.
In April, I don't know. I don't know what really affected all of this, but again, I think it's a matter of. I think you're right. College basketball, that betting was incredible. As a matter of fact, Play USA Network reported that the national handle for March Madness is going to be about $1.56 billion this year.
You mean the next March Madness coming up?
This March Madness.
This March Madness, okay.
Brought in $1.56 billion.
Okay.
Because if you look at the numbers...
Well, you got to remember, we didn't have March Madness the year before because of the pandemic, so everyone was all pent up and they wanted to bet March Madness, and, it's... absolutely incredible, though.
Well, if you look at the numbers for March Madness, Nevada brought in $360 million in handle. That was the lead for all states. New Jersey brought in $275 million. Illinois brought in $176.8 million. They reported that exact number. And 7 states brought in over $100 million.
Wow, that was great.
So $1.56 billion. That's actually pretty, pretty significant number there.
That is the betting event of the year
so far, other than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Tennessee, their entire sports betting market is passing the $1 billion handle mark.
Wow! Congratulations, Tennessee.
So they've been averaging about $180 million since November 1st through the end of March. The books had about $900 million in handle on the on the books. So if they average $180 million. April numbers are going to push it over anyway. They haven't reported their April numbers. And speaking of Tennessee, in terms of approved events for betting, I should say, that's how they phrase it.
All right.
Now, everyone's got MMA. Tennessee has MMA. Tennessee is the first state that, legalized or approved betting on a local MMA promotion.
Wow, great.
Showcase MMA.
Great. Hey, all right.
They're a local group out of Tennessee. They actually have their own little streaming channel, and the big backer of all this was Tennessee Action 24/7.
Great. Which, by the way, is
back up and running.
Is local.
Up and running.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I like Tennessee Action 24/7. They're up and running again, and they're local, and they're from Tennessee, and they're run by people from Tennessee, which is great.
Yep. Going over to the legislative side. Got a couple different things here. I know we were going to talk about Ohio, which threw out their first sports betting bill. Very interesting bill, by the way. Let's talk with New Jersey first. New Jersey had a Tourism, Gaming, and Arts Commission hearing, meeting, whatever you want to call them, in the Assembly, New Jersey Assembly.
Yeah.
They had a bill or resolution to discuss. It was ACR 200, which amends the New Jersey State Constitution to permit wagering through casinos and sports books and horse tracks to allow people to bet on any New Jersey collegiate team.
For people listening out there, New Jersey has a rule that we cannot place a bet on any local college or university in our state if you're in New Jersey. They also have a rule where you cannot place a bet on any activity or a gaming activity or collegiate activity that happens in the state.
Yes.
So,
That,
kind of
that
a crazy rule. I don't know.
It affects a lot of the March Madness betting in New Jersey.
Sure, absolutely. Atlantic City had a NCAA tournament in the convention center, and no one can bet on it in New Jersey because it was a collegiate activity happening in the state of New Jersey. So, you had this basketball tournament happening in Atlantic City with 9 sports books sitting around it, and you couldn't bet on it.
Well, this bill or resolution moved forward on a 7-0 vote. That's how serious the assemblymen are taking this.
Absolutely, it should be gone.
And as soon as this
costs a lot of money,
this is going to move forward. It still has to go through a couple more steps, but if it makes it through the next couple of steps and gets onto the November ballot, there's a possibility that New Jerseyans. Mm-hmm. New Jersey natives, whatever you want, people in New Jersey, will be able to bet on New Jersey collegiate athletics as well as collegiate tournaments in the state by March Madness again.
So we're not talking about college football yet. It's not going to be ready by college football. You're not going to. If I'm sitting in New Jersey, I'm not placing a bet on Rutgers or Princeton or anything like that.
But again, this is all March Madness is like the benchmark, like the Super Bowl is.
Yeah. That's one of the benchmarks that every sport book shoots for. It's either the start of the NFL season, the Super Bowl, or March Madness.
That's it. There's 3 benchmarks right there. Yeah. Start of the NFL season, Super Bowl, and March Madness. Going over to Washington State, the only reason I'm mentioning Washington State, we now have the second Native American tribe doing a new compact with the state.
Great.
It still has to go through all the steps in terms of ratification and federal approval and all that. But I thought it was kind of interesting that the compact will allow betting on professional and collegiate sports as well as Olympic Games and esports competitions. That's fine, provided all of that the esports competitions take place on site at authorized tribal casinos.
Okay.
Now, the way that's phrased, I know they meant to say the betting has to occur on the property.
Not the event.
Not the event. Okay, so yeah. I just want to, it was just kind of weird the way that was put out there by the media and a lot of other places, but the betting has to be on the tribal lands, which is normal for tribal compacts.
Sure. Absolutely.
Let's get to Ohio. Ohio has introduced SB 176. Now, SB does not stand for sports betting. That's Senate Bill 176. They're proposing 40 3-year licenses for sports betting in the state.
Wow.
You're talking 20 for Type A, which is the casinos, horse tracks, that sort of existing gaming industry structure. And then another 20 for sports bars and other places that want to offer sports betting on a retail side as well.
I got to tell you, Ohio would be such a great sports betting market. It's got 2 really big cities, Cincinnati and Cleveland. It's a lot of sports fans out there. I mean, we were out in Sharon, Pennsylvania, which is very close to Ohio.
It's right on the border.
Yeah,
almost.
I mean, it's one of those things where, when there's Sundays in NFL season, it's insane out there. They love their football because, they have the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals, and, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it is just great sports fans out there, and I think sports betting will do amazing out there.
At some point, you might as well refer to Sharon as Sharon, Ohio. Yeah. The way some of those
is it that close?
It's very close. You're only a couple minutes away from Youngstown, which is another big sporting area, especially for college sports.
Oh my God! Can you imagine if you're on Ohio, the bets on Ohio State and things like that? Oh God!
Well, we'll see exactly what happens with this bill. It's another bill that everyone was like, "What?" when it came out, because they weren't expecting this type of bill. Also, one of the other additions to the bill was the Ohio State Lottery will not be running sports betting in the state. They won't be regulating it, but they can apply for a license.
Okay.
So they can apply for a license, and the bill also had electronic bingo in it to pass e-bingo in the state.
I gotta say, I kind of like the bingo because I think it's 90 ball bingo here in New Jersey.
That's different than regular bingo.
That's different than regular bingo?
That's
well, they call it 90
regular
ball bingo, and I played it a couple of times. You can win a lot of money with that.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a money winner.
It's one of those things where you buy, I think it's like 3 tickets for like 98 cents or something like that, and you play a game, and it's the 90 balls come out, and you see if you win. So.
Well, they have a bill now. It's tied in with the sports betting bill, and it's in there doing electronic bingo at veterans or fraternal organizations.
Okay.
So that's going to be kind of interesting to see that. And also, they also have a part of the bill that would study iLottery, online lottery.
Great.
So we'll see exactly where all this goes. This is first steps. More analysis is going to come out after this is aired anyway. So. Genius Sports did a deal with FanHub Media to bring up some more free-to-play games on their sportsbook.
Great.
Sportsbook offerings. It's all customer acquisition. It's, they have 2 new games. Let's see. They're going to be bringing in fantasy sports, trivia, bracket challenges, pick'em, polling games, which would complement their traditional sports betting options that they have across the world, really. That was their first acquisition as a public company. Better Collective, we all saw the news. They acquired Action Network for $240 million.
That's a great acquisition. I love Action Network because I have that on my phone, and it's just to track my bets. They have such a great feature that tracks your bets through the day. It's fantastic. I love Action Network.
Well, we're starting to see
for Better Collective.
We're starting to see a lot of these deals, doing the content/affiliate marketing way.
Yeah,
and it's great to see some of these things happen. I'm just wondering if the affiliate market is getting winnowed down a little bit. You're going to have, new and smaller areas smaller companies are going to have trouble getting the affiliate piece of the pie. I don't know. I
guess we'll see. I mean, there are a lot smarter people than us that are going to be analyzing these deals coming up. So,
FanDuel did a sports betting and fantasy sports partnership with The Ringer. They're going to be creating content with The Ringer for The Ringer's website.
Mm-hmm.
Catena Media acquired lineups.com, which, by the way, lineups.com is kind of an interesting site to take a look at. If you ever looked at it,
I have not. I'll check it out.
It's a very interesting content site where they have articles, just like everybody else, podcasts and everything. But they have some interesting takes on some of the stories out there.
Great.
Let's see. Sport Radar extended the negotiating window for their acquisition agreement so that they can go public.
Okay.
They asked for more time. Let's see. Fox Corporation, this was another interesting one, acquired Outkick.
Okay, good.
Clay Travis's outfit.
So that's what it's called, Outkick. I know Outkick, the coverage.
That's the show.
So it's called Outkick. Okay, all right.
The one thing I thought was interesting, Outkick has an exclusive deal with FanDuel.
Okay.
And this is all happening at the exact time Fox is actually suing FanDuel, or Flutter, I should say, the parent company.
All right.
Over the stock acquisition.
Okay.
They've been in going back and forth in this arbitration. Fox is trying to purchase 18.5% of their FanDuel share. That was an option.
Okay.
and they can't agree on the purchase price.
All right, okay.
Yeah, Fox is saying it was at this price, but now that the price is up, Flutter wants to sell it at this price.
I mean, I see Clay Travis on Fox all the time with what is the show? The show with he's
Fox Bet Live.
Fox Bet Live. Okay, that's called Fox Bet Live. Okay, it used to be different.
Yeah, it used to have some other name.
What was the name of that?
But now it's Fox Bet Live.
It's called Fox Bet Live. Okay.
Yeah. Chalkline Sports, Daniel Kostelski's group, great group out there. They're free-to-play mavens, really.
Yep.
They did a deal with the site. Let's see.
I see Cricket.com.
Cricket.com.
All right.
I couldn't see it in my notes. I don't know where it was. They did a deal with Cricket.com to do free-to-play sports betting games for the Cricket League.
Okay. For the Cricket League. Oh, yes. Okay. The sport we're talking about.
The sport, cricket.
Okay.
Yes.
I could never bet on that because I just don't understand it.
I don't even know how they time
I mean, it is going to be huge overseas in England and the UK, but someone said those things can last for like days.
Yeah.
Cricket match can last for days. I don't
Talk about a futures bet.
I
think every bet's a futures bet on cricket.
You know, when everyone was going out to bars and stuff like that before the pandemic, they had it. I was watching cricket at a sports bar because it was just on. I didn't tell them to turn it on. But, you know, I was trying to understand it in a sports bar with the sound off, and I really just couldn't understand what everyone was doing.
And they play with a wooden ball, don't they, or something?
I have no idea. No idea.
But this is for the 2021 Indian Premier League season coming up for cricket.
Okay.
Caesars, they just announced a partnership with the Arizona Diamondbacks for sports betting access in Arizona. They're also going to build a first-class sportsbook and bar concept at the team's home, Chase Field.
You know, soon they're going to just have windows in the stadiums. You know, you go up for a beer, you go for a hot dog, and right next door are the betting windows. Why not just have that?
Well, they have that in D.C. The William Hill Sportsbook in the arena is right there. You go into the arena and they have a set of windows.
They have a set of windows, but I mean like facing.
Oh, you mean?
I mean just like where you go up and get a beer or you go up and get a hot dog. Why not just next door just get the betting windows?
Or just
it's heading toward that.
Or just have the concession stands do combo packages: a beer, hot dog, and, a sports betting ticket.
Or have people
might as well do that.
Have people walking around taking bets, like they're get your beer here. You can do walk
can do
around.
All that. Yeah, you're going to have somebody with a tablet going around.
Yeah, walking around with a tablet, taking your bets, so
printing out a ticket and giving it back to the person.
Yeah, so you don't have to move.
Yeah,
watch. We're saying this is going to happen.
Yeah. Oh no, that it's definitely going to happen. Let's see. It's going to be a state-of-the-art sports book, sports bar, and broadcast studio in an area called the Game 7 Grill on the Plaza, which is in the stadium itself. So, and it's going to be across the street, supposedly, from the FanDuel book at the Phoenix Suns Arena. So it's you're almost starting to see like the Philly complexes being mirrored in other states where the stadiums are all next to each other. Sports books.
Philadelphia is the only city in this country that has all its sports teams, professional sports teams, playing within the city limits, and they're all the stadiums are in one spot. I mean, they all share parking lots. That's why Philly Live, that new casino with the sports book, what a great spot that's in. You know, boy, you just talk about
with some of the rooms overlooking the field too.
Talk about a great place to tailgate.
Last entry for this week's book report. Sport Radar.
We just did Sports Radar.
This is another one.
Radar. I keep saying Sports Radar.
They signed a memorandum of understanding with the General Directorate, National Police of Bulgaria.
All right.
Strategic partnership to maintain sports integrity in the country.
Well, good for them. Boy, they're going right to the top.
I think that's the first one that did a deal with a police organization.
I guess.
So
boy, I've never heard of it.
That's the end of the book report. Whatever we didn't hit in this week's book report is going to be in print form on the blog, turnpikesportsradio.com. Click on the blog. If you have any stories you want us to hit on in the book report, info@turnpikesportsradio.com.
That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.